They say imitation is the highest form of flattery, and although that might be the case, if you're on the receiving end of an imitation when you thought you were getting the real thing, you might not feel very flattered. All right, I'm Daniel Kreider, and this is Caleb Showalter with Paul B. Hardware. We're going to talk to you today about an issue that's becoming very prevalent, unfortunately, in the market. So, Caleb, tell us what we're looking at here today.
Unfortunately, most of the batteries that are out of the pack here are actually fake. There's only two batteries here that are legit, and it's kind of sad. I mean, fake batteries have been around for a while, but in recent months and past year, we've been noticing the increasing difficulty to tell them apart of what is a legit battery and what is a fake battery. It used to be you could come along and just immediately say, oh, that's a fake. But at this point, it really comes down to us opening them up and checking the serial numbers for us to tell them apart. Unless you're using them. Of course, you'll notice it then too. This one here, we received this one a few months ago. This was a phenomenal fake in the sense that I cannot tell a difference. I've been working here in the hardware store for over 10 years and I cannot tell this one apart. But when you take it out of the package, the wiring's a little bit different, and half of these cells are actually completely empty or full of sand. Of course, the customer did not realize that this was a fake when they purchased it, and it's kind of a sad story because people are expecting original DeWALT quality that we all come to know and expect, but they're getting something far from that. They're not getting enough amp draw, they're not getting runtime that they desire, and they're ending up with a frustrating experience. And that's what you will find across many of these batteries here, is that you're not getting what you expect. And in the end, it's also a hazard. For example, this battery right here, we had this sitting around, this one nearly caught fire.
Yeah, you can see the plastic's all melted inside the top cap. Yep.
And this was just sitting here, this was not even while being used, so it's actually a hazard as well.
Yeah, so they're on original batteries, so DeWALT, Makita, Milwaukee is what we're looking at here, and those are the big brands that we deal with at Paul B. So there are safety precautions built into, engineered into the batteries to prevent what happened here in this Milwaukee battery. So again, it's not something we think about often when we get these, just because they work, and when they're not in a drill, we don't have to worry about it. When they're not in a power tool, they just set. And then all of a sudden you get one of these, maybe it works for a while, you're unsuspecting of it, and then something like this happens and you've got a fire or some sort of other safety issue on your hands when you're not even using it. So
yeah, all the brands invest a lot into the safety of the end user. They want to make a quality product, and they do make a quality product, all these brands here. But when you're getting something that's actually not from them, that they're not putting that investment and research into the safety of the end user.
Yeah. So, Caleb, how did we end up with these batteries? So we don't sell these batteries, correct?
No, we do not sell fakes here. And the reason we end up with them is we are a warranty center for all three of these brands. And customers would bring these in and say, hey, I want warranty because these batteries were defective, they said. So when we bring them in here, we take a look at them, we check the serial numbers and open them up. And when we open them up, we can clearly see that they are not legitimate batteries. And the customers, because they were no use to them, let it with us, and so we can use it as an opportunity to educate people on the problems that we're seeing right now of batteries that are not legitimate.
Yeah. So some of these, as Caleb mentioned, they're so good that when you get them, even if you're familiar, you have other batteries stacked next to them, they can look like they're a legitimate battery when they're actually not. And part of what we want to do here is provide some information to help avoid getting into this situation in the first place, because you can't get them. They appear to work initially because oftentimes there are good cells in, like he mentioned, Caleb mentioned the bottom cells are defunct, but it would actually run the drill. There's obvious problems.
Your drill impact, it would run, but it's not going to get the same runtime or power out of it.
Yeah, oftentimes less torque, less runtime, and then you're realizing this isn't functioning as it should. All the while, you run the risk, like we talked about with this Milwaukee battery, where there's actually some security safety functions that aren't in place that would be in a typical drill. So let's talk about how do we avoid getting into this scenario in the first place? Because it's one thing to get it, and once you have it in your hand, the purchase is already made, the company that sold it has your money. The reality is the chances of going back and recovering your funds is probably slim to none. So how do we avoid even getting in this situation where we're sitting here with a battery that's a fake?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is when you're purchasing a battery, purchase it from an authorized dealer.
Yep.
So it's best when you can come, if you're local and you can kind of stop here in the store. You can see that we have a shop here. We're a place that you can know that we're selling legitimate batteries.
Yeah.
When a deal is too good to be true,
yep,
it most likely is. And I know that's said so often, but it is a true thing. If you go through, browse online, you see a brand new Milwaukee battery for $5, most likely something's up. There's got to be a catch somewhere.
Yeah.
And there are online retailers that do actually sell authorized Milwaukee batteries, but it can be very hard to tell them apart.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the case, Paul B, obviously, we'd love to sell you legitimate batteries, and you can know that when you're buying from us, you're getting a battery that's authorized, that's produced by DeWALT, Milwaukee, Makita. That's not a problem with us. And that's, you can buy from us because what we push out the door in the front end, we're supporting on the back end. Mm-hmm. So we have a good relationship with all of the vendors for the products that we sell. The other part to be aware of on any of these products, when you think about knockoff and companies that are going to be in an illegitimate business like this, they're picking products that are hot. They're picking products that a lot of people are looking for. So if you're in the market for something like this, if you're looking for power tools, power tool batteries, just know that you're more prone to running across knockoffs because they're more prevalent. They're out there. And so you just got to be aware of that. And that's really where you take some precautions. Like Caleb said, if the deal looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And the other part of this to be aware of is if they're knocking off the battery, the chances are the site looks convincing too. So there are elements there. They might claim to be authorized. They probably have vendor logos up. They make it look like they are an authorized dealer. And as Caleb mentioned, in the situation for us, we have a repair shop. We have physical stores. You can come and talk to us. Even if you don't buy that way, you can buy all of these things online, but you can stop in and see us and talk to us. And you want to have that kind of a relationship, or at least know that the retailer that you're buying from has a similar type of relationship with their vendors. Yeah. Flesh that out. And again, when the deal looks too good to be true, it probably is. And if you're talking about really popular hot items, just know that there's a lot more prevalence of knockoffs and fakes out in the marketplace.
Absolutely. Even when you're going and browsing online, they'll sometimes even use pictures that are authentic pictures and not send you the real thing.
Yeah. So that's how to avoid being in this situation altogether. We are an authorized service center. There are ways that we can check these things pretty quickly. So if you get something, again, when you think about the problems that could exist, the concerns in something catching fire, if you get something and all of a sudden you're thinking, I'm actually not sure about this, and you're in the vicinity of one of our stores in Lidditz, Mechanicsburg, or Belleville in Pennsylvania, stop into one of our repair shops, bring it in and say, hey, could you check this out and let me know if this is actually a legitimate battery or not, before you get in a situation where this is sitting somewhere, catches fire, or worse, you're using it, catch fire, and all of a sudden you've got an injury or problem on your hands that you were unsuspecting of.
Yeah.
So there you go, hardware happenings. Avoid falling into this trap of knockoff batteries, fakes. Buy from Paul B. You can go on to paulbhardware.com, see all of the offerings that we have across these brands and more.